Hey, today I'm going to show you how you can use OBS and tapped out to play games of Magic on SpellTable. For those of you that are like me and don't have enough desk space in front of you to just about fit your keyboard, let alone a whole playmat with cards for Commander. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is download OBS. So you go to obsproject.com, click Windows here to start your download, and start setting and download it. Once it's downloaded, you open it up, and you'll be met with a screen. You should be met by a screen similar to this. You'll have your window here on the outside. You then have your scenes. Which will probably be blank. So you click the image, the little plus right here. So you click that and create a new scene that can be called anything you want. Next up, you have your sources. So you have your sources right here. At the moment, I have it set up so that it's recording my full screen and my microphone. The way you set up a new source is you click the plus down here. Let's just set up an image. So you set up your image, you give it a title, for example, background new. You're then given a properties box. You browse for your image, go to your pictures, and select it. Now, at the moment, you're fully seeing the background image I've chosen. That's because OBS works similarly to Photoshop and everything, where it has different layers. So in your sources, you can see everything has an eye and a lock. The lock means that things can't move, and the eye just means that it's visible or not. So if I click the eye for the screen, then you'll see that my screen disappears and all you see is the image that I have set up. In OBS as well, if you in the window, if you select the screen, so we have our screen selected, there's transformative handles. You can see that they're just about up here, and you can click and drag, and you can resize everything. So you can see that the image is behind our window right here. So I'm going to reset that. So that's the very basics of OBS setup. Next, what you want to do is you want to close OBS, make sure that it's fully closed down. Go back to your browser and search for OBS Virtual Camera. OBS Virtual Camera. You're brought to the first link here will be to a forum. It should show you the 2.04. Now this is an old version. There's a link to an updated version. Once you click that, you see this page. There's instructions on how to use it as well, and it brings you to a Git. There's a link up here that brings you to a GitHub page. Now, because we're setting this up for Windows, just download the Windows installer and make sure that OBS is fully closed before you run that. You run it. And you might need to restart OBS once or twice. You might even need to restart your computer if you're having problems. But what should happen once you have it installed, you should be able to you should have OBS open, click your tools along the top, then you should be able to select Virtual Cam. That should now be an option that you can click. You're then given a new pop-up box where you can see what the OBS camera is called. So here it's just called OBS camera. Click start, and now OBS is running this as if this is a webcam, and it's able to give an output. So from there, and we're almost there, I would like to go to so I have my deck set up on tapped out. It's a mono green Locus of Mana vehicles deck. If you go to playtest or playtest V1, All that changes is the interface. I like the V1 version. Once you have that open, this V1 version does not have a command zone. So you click and it shuffles your commander into your deck. So I click commander along the bottom and just put them into exile. So that's treated as a command zone. And you can always click on the pile here to select your commander. So once you have that open, I'm just going to drag this off to the side and snap it. So I only have one screen as well because of my limited space. So I drag it off to the side. I'm going to drag OBS over here. And I'm going to now set up a new source where we'll capture tapped out. So I already have a previous one set up, but if I just name this something like tapped out new, because you're selecting a window, it's showing that the window is my Chrome extension and then the URL. So now on the screen you can see that there is the tapped out client here. However, what you can't really see what you might not be able to see is that I can click, once I go back into OBS, I can click on the tapped out window and I can then start to resize it. That's because the actual window is open in the background. This here is the tapped out source. So I can even drag it over to this side, can make it real big or real small. Let's leave it small for a moment and just kind of pop it in the corner. Next, you want to go to SpellTable. Make sure that you are that you log in. Then you can just join a game. And now because I have OBS, I have the virtual camera running. So once again, in OBS, that is Tools, Virtual Camera. Make sure that it has started. SpellTable is able to treat OBS here as a webcam. And the way you set that up is on SpellTable, just click the little gear wheel and select OBS camera. And when I join, it will load up as well. Now, just back to OBS for a moment. So because OBS works a bit like Photoshop and everything, it has its different layers. You could lock a layer. So I just want my background layer locked. I don't need to move my microphone, and I can just leave the screen as it is. I want to just only resize the tapped out window so that it's nice and center. So it's currently going to overtake, it's going to fill up the screen, and that's all you can see. OBS is hidden behind it at the moment because, once again, it works like Photoshop with the layers. Now, if I stop sharing my screen in the background, because I have limited space, and all that the other players will see through the webcam is the background and tapped out. So if you resize tapped out, so you can even hide the URL, give yourself a little bit more space, resize it so that you can have just have the hand, and this is your play space. Now, the problem with this is that your opponents can see your hand. So the way we do that again is we go back into OBS. So we're back in OBS, create a new source, select an image. You create a new image, choose the image file that you want. I just have an image set up for hand, and there, that can now be dragged around and placed over it. So if I once again pop up my tapped out window, stop sharing my screen in the background. So I can then place that over my hand. Now, if you select the anchors at the side to transform it, the ratios are locked, which means that everything stays, nice and proportionate. But if you just need to hide your hand and you don't want to take up too much space, you can make it smaller. And then when you press Shift, it goes into free transform mode, where you can, as you see, really just kind of stretch it in every which way, so you can hide your hand.